Okay, so this video I'm gonna be somewhat restoring this Dana 60. I'm not tearing down the gearing or anything like that. All I'm doing is I'm gonna take that off and replace these tie rod ends and all the ball joints. I was gonna replace this bushing back here, but as I stated from a previous video, I haven't found the bushing yet. Still have the burnt one right there. But besides that, I'm just gonna do like a semi rebuild, just maintenance on the axle. And I'm also gonna be attaching my custom high steer knuckle onto this. And what this is doing is it's gonna move my steering angle up here instead of down here. But I'm also keeping this drag link, or whatever it's called. I think it's a drag link, and I'm not sure. But that thing I'm keeping in the stock location. And if you guys have this axle, you know that side's easy, it just goes up. But this side, it's just a hole on both sides. And what it does is this part goes through here, and then the drag link connects to the top up here with a long bolt that goes through both of the ball joints, both of the tie rod ends, and then it just bolts together. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this in half because I'm not using this anymore. I'm gonna cut this, grab this bolt out, and then just reuse it to attach the drag link. Or I've already forgot what it's called. I'm gonna call it a drag link, but that's gonna allow me to attach the drag link back to the bottom of this. So that's gonna keep everything mostly simple. All right, as you can see, I've already got the top ball joint, just not pressed in, but I just have it up on there right now. To install it, I'm going over installing it first because I haven't taken the other side out yet. I will go over taking the other side out later on, but this is, I've rented a ball joint kit. I'm somehow gonna press this back in. I've already pressed it out, obviously, before. Here's the old one. That's the old lower one. That's the new lower one. The kit I bought is actually meant for, I think, some Dodges as well. So both of these came with C-clips, but from removing it, only the bottom one had a C-clip. The top one didn't have one at all. So you guys are only gonna need one C-clip at the bottom, and then the top one don't need one. But the kit that I have comes with C-clips for both top and bottom, so that's good. Anyways, I'm gonna try to find an adapter that'll fit on this to press it back in. You're gonna want to do the top. So when you're removing this, you want to do the bottom one first, because the tool has to actually go through this bottom hole to get to the top one. You'll see what I mean later. But the top one, for installation, I guess it's just the opposite. You want to do the top first and then the bottom. But yeah, I'm just gonna go get the adapters, see if it works. Okay, that was a little tedious, just figuring everything out here. I did make a mistake. I kind of tore the boot. I didn't tear it off, but I kind of put a cut in it. When you guys are doing this, make sure you guys take the boots off, the rubber boots. It'll just come off unless they're fixed on. But these came off, and then what I did was, there's a metal thing here, and if you have the same kit as me, what I first did was, this side's gonna go through this hole for the top one, and this, if you have the same kit as me, I got this kit from AutoZone, but not that one. One of these, I think. I had this go through like that. You guys can't see that. Okay, there we go. I had it go through like that, and this piece on here, and I had the other piece, wherever it is, this piece, by itself, because this thing's not big enough. If you have a longer one, it'll be a lot easier for you, but mine's not long enough. So I just had this butted up to here, and I tightened this with my impact as much as I can until this started touching this. Once it did do that, I was kind of just stuck, and what I did was I put that hole straight through this like that. And this is what I mean by this, by having to do the top first, because so this is going to be second. I did that, just put it through here, and then that gave me enough room to put this back here with this adapter, or I think it's this one here. So with that adapter back here, and that gave me enough room to slide this all the way down. And then obviously I'm just gonna put the boot back on. Some grease from the top one did get out, so I'm gonna have to re-grease everything. I was gonna do that anyways. The kit comes with new with grease fittings on all 4 of them, and this is why the top didn't take a an O-ring. The top ball joint does have a slot for an O-ring, but this knuckle, it doesn't go all completely in, and it doesn't go all the way through to reach the O-ring. So that is why the top doesn't have an O-ring. I mean, not an O-ring, a snap ring. The bottom one does have enough room for a snap ring, so I put it all the way down. Snap ring is gonna go right there. Grease fitting is gonna get in there. There's already grease coming out of that because I squished everything in. Yep, everything's still tight. Top's a little loose, but hopefully it's not broken. Besides that, you do want to keep it metal to metal contact, or at least put it on the base. You don't want to put all that pressure onto this ball joint. It's gonna prematurely wear and stuff. Same with the bottom. With the bottom one, all I did was I didn't actually have any room to fit any of the adapters on there, and this thing was too big for this one to go into to reach the base of it. So what I did was I just had this piece all the way in like that, and then same 2 adapters that I used for the top, I used at the bottom, just like that, and then that brought it all the way in. And yep, I'm just gonna put everything back together and just I guess put it back on the axle. Okay, so I've installed this here. I also kept the this alignment thing in place so that it would stay lined up relatively. I didn't take it off at all. I don't know what it's used for. I did hammer, when I hammered this, I did smack that with my hammer, so that chipped off. But I just wanted to show you, this is why I had to cut a big sliver off and why I couldn't bolt this thing in, because it would have hit the arm. Now that I'm looking at it, actually, it probably might have barely cleared. Not too sure. I could pull it back out and weld this some more too. One more thing, I also did have to order, where did I put it? I forgot where I put it, but I did also have to order these caliper slide pin and the bolt, because the back bolt was missing off this one for some reason. I don't know why. The hole's completely fine, so somebody had to have removed it, I think. Again, this was a junkyard axle, so when you guys do get junkyard axles, just go over everything, make sure everything's still in place. Like this one had a lot of missing things, like that thing, and obviously make sure you look for damages like that and the ball joints and stuff, because it is from a junkyard. People are gonna go in and grab stuff. I did also order, I'm gonna have to clean that out, but I did also order new hub lockers. Just cheap eBay. Where did I leave those ones? It's over here. It's just cheap eBay hub lockers. It also doesn't have the Ford on here anymore, so that's good. It was pretty cheap. I think I got it for like 50 bucks for both of them. I'm not expecting it to last very long, but at least just to cover this up for now and get it up and going. Later on, whenever those do break, I'll get better ones, but for now, those will have to do. Alright, so I got everything in. I also did replace the I threw that away already. It's the next day. I replaced the hub locker, the factory hub locker with the Ford logo on it. That one, when I took it out, was actually bad. Or I don't really know if it was bad or it's because of the vacuum locker, but it was always in the lock position even if it was under auto. And I assume when it's in auto, the vacuum actuates the spring, so the vacuum that in here is pulling the whole like piston thing back, and that's what's unlocking it. So that's probably what the auto thing means. But this one is just manual locking, so it's a lot. So you just activate it manually, lock it and unlock it manually. I am about to put brakes on that. I have to run and buy the dust boots for this caliper. That caliper already has it, but what it didn't have was that bolt that I'm also going to replace right now. I think this piston's fine, so I might just leave it and just replace the bolt only. Yeah, it was properly greased too. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna, you know what, nah, I could just reuse it on the, I can't put that back in with one hand. I'll put it in later, but I could just replace the bolt on that because these two pistons were exposed for so long. I think they're already rusting on the inside, so I'm just gonna replace these two pistons, or not pistons, guide pins, and leave these two because they were already protected and greased. Those two were just completely dry. And what I just did was I got a wire wheel for a drill, and this happens to fit exactly into the hub. Well, not fit, but I could squeeze it in there while it's spinning, and that got a lot of the loose stuff off. And then I went in with the cup, with the cup wire wheel thing, and I went in, got most of it off as well. All this stuff right on the side right here, I can't even chip off with a screwdriver, even if I like. So I don't think those are going to move. I also tried to wire wheel the lip here as well. I am gonna install a new one, but first I'm gonna the new hub locker. This is the one that was open. This side was just open since I got it, so it's just been rusting. I got most of the rust off, so it's just mostly bare metal in there. Alright, it's another day again. As you can see, I got a lot of things out last night. I put that end together. I also did install the tie rod. I haven't done this side yet because I was going to show you guys, but yeah, I decided to do this just to see how well it went. I also wanted to show you, that's the bolt that came off of the drag link end. I just cut that in half. It's right over here. As you can see, I just grabbed the cutting wheel, just cut it like around, and then that ball joint just fell out. And then what I did was I tapped it in here just so it wouldn't spin, and then I bolted it from the bottom with just reusing the bolt. The kit didn't actually come with cotter pins, so I actually have to find another one for both these sides, but That is how you keep the stock tie rod location and moving it while you're moving your steering arm, the drag link location up. And yep, so I got these out again. It's just these 4 bolts, and that side, the entire stud actually loosened out. So again, there's not really a problem with that. It's just gonna screw back in anyways. And then what you gotta, here's the bearing and the drive shaft, or whatever that's called. What I did was, what you're supposed to do if it's not seized is you grab a pry bar or something similar, wedge it between that and this flange in here. So you just wedge it in there like that and pry it out, and that entire thing should come out. It might need a few tapping if the bearing assembly is kind of wedged or stuck in here. Kind of, it's pretty tight. Besides that, I did also remove this as well. I just took out the nut, and then I just pressed it with my ball joint kit, which actually didn't press it out all the way. It went like maybe halfway, and then I just took a sledgehammer and smacked the shit out of it. When I said torches come in handy for this job, I mean it. Like this nut right here, it's still kind of warm, but both top and bottom were basically seized on there, and I don't have a socket for the bottom one to actually get a good hold of. I got one for the top that was able to fit, and then I just used the impact on that. But the bottom, I had to use this crescent wrench in there and just turn it manually, which was a hassle because it would hit like this thing, and then when I'm up here, there's not much room. But I got it out, and this is gonna be held in. Both ball joints are still gonna be held in there, so even if you got both nuts out, it's still gonna be attached. So what you got to do is you got to get either the lower or the upper one, and then just thread it back in. I did the upper one because I did the lower one second and it was still hot, so I threaded it back in on top here, and I just smacked the knuckle a few times. That didn't really get it out. I did get most of the rust out though, or a lot of like these chips. Besides that, I did smack this a little, and then my ball joint's already bad, so I'm not reusing these. So I mean, I think I already showed you guys it's already bad, so I'm not reusing this. So all I did was just smack the top, and then it just came down, both of it. And then, I mean, you could just let it drop. It's not really gonna do anything. But say this is like in the vehicle and it's pretty high up. I guess this is kind of how high it would be in a vehicle. You wouldn't really want to drop it or ding the bottom up if it was a nicely painted one, but it is all rusty and stuff, so I don't really care much. But I did thread it in, smack it. It already came down. So all I gotta do is loosen this up, and this whole thing is just gonna drop down. And I was gonna add something else, but I forgot. Oh, that was basically it. Yeah, I'll just remember, and then I'll tell you guys once I remember it. But I'm gonna drop this, and then again, the whatchamacallit, the snap ring is at the bottom. Top one doesn't have one, so we're gonna have to get those out. And the knuckle's still some kind of hot, so I'm gonna heat this up, make it easier to get these out all the way and then put them back in. So if your snap ring and everything isn't full of rust, this is probably gonna be easier for you. But this area was just caked with rust. I had to chip away at it just to find the snap ring. And this side is still seized. What I was doing was I took a flathead like this. Well, this one. I better not move that. Took it on the edge and then I just chipped away at the rust, and then also trying to get it loose. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna hold this end and then hammer this end, and then hoping it'll just go completely around and remove the snap ring. Alright, I managed to get the snap ring out. I had to chip it where is it? With this thing, and then the flathead screwdriver. Flathead screwdriver, this thing. I just went under it. Once I got the tip of it up, I went under it and I just chipped it all until it eventually just came out. Took a while, but it's all just rust welded together. And then I'm currently in the middle of trying to get this out. I'm gonna have to heat this up because it's not budging at all. Okay, so once I used this thing and this thing to get it out most of the way, but as you can see, this piece kind of gets caught on it, so I could get it out maybe like half an inch, but that wasn't enough. So I used an exhaust coupler that I had lying around. I put it over that, and then this thing happened to fit right over it, so then that kind of just worked out, gave me enough room to get that whole thing out. Just barely enough room actually, but once it's like almost out, you could just take a hammer and just hammer it out. So the top part should be much easier because that top part of the ball joint fits through this hole, and this adapter, the hole through the adapter, a lot, like the entire thing fits through it. So this is kind of just all you need. The whole thing will just come out. Don't need to change it to like bigger adapters or anything. One trick I learned while doing this and then doing the bottom one as well. One, heat the surrounding up so it expands a little bit, and then I usually tighten this until the impact can't do it anymore, like won't turn it, and then I just hit it like that, and it usually shocks it, and then it just loosens everything up and comes out super easily. And there we go. Didn't take that much too long on the top side. I did heat it up and then just smacked it a few times with the hammer. Not too hard, but just smacked it enough to vibrate everything loose. Along with the heat, and I got it out super easily. Just came right out. I'm just gonna grab a wire wheel and a brush, just clean all the loose rust off, and then get most of the gunk and oil and grease off as much as I can. Get it ready for paint, and then I'll just install the new ball joints. Everything's just kind of reverse, but installation from that side was actually a lot easier, so hopefully this side's the same. I've got the knuckle back in. I did paint it. It's kind of I got as much rust as I can off, but I didn't get like too much off. I mean, I didn't get very much off because I don't have the stuff like a sandblaster to get them off. So all the scaling on the inside and hard to reach spots, I couldn't reach with the grinder or even any of those wheels. So I just kind of painted over it. Before I go and change the tie rod, I'm gonna put the axle shaft, axle shaft, and the bearing assembly back in, just because it's a lot. That was also, I just remembered what I was going to mention earlier. It's a lot easier when you're taking out the knuckle to take out the tie rod end, unbolt the tie rod first, because this is going to be able to steer a lot more. It'll give you more of an angle to reach in these bolts, to reach these bolt spots from the back, or to reach the nuts from the back side. So it'll give you more of an angle where if the steering arm is still, the tie rod's still attached, it'll limit the steering angle, and then it'll also get in the way of you, of like an impact or something getting in there. So yep. Alright, so I'm doing the tie rod now. I'm just heating up the tie rod. I put all the brake hardware in, and I am again using old brakes just to kind of get everything going still. And then once the truck can drive on its own, or like once it can stand on its own springs, then I'll replace stuff that needs to get replaced. But this should be working temporarily for now. I put new boots in on this side, and I just figured out why it didn't have any boots. And coming here, since that bushing was burnt, I'm surprised the top one wasn't. That bushing was burnt. There was a sensor. I don't know if it's the vacuum sensor or like wheel speed sensor. That one was burnt off. You can see here, and the rubber on the pistons were burnt off as well. So I think this entire side was the side that got burnt on the old truck, which is why a lot of things here are just even the boots and stuff on the ball joints were burnt. So that's probably why they went bad. Moving on to the tie rod. Make sure to take these out. Save this. I don't know if I'm supposed to replace that or not, but this thing was already off on this side. The other side it was on still, so I just put it back in. It kind of goes like right there, so I'm just gonna replace that with this. I don't know what it does exactly, but I'm just gonna put it back in anyways. This thing I have a replacement of, which is a good thing too, because the nut and the bolt snapped off, and then that bolt right there goes to this piece. So yep, I'm just gonna heat this up for a few minutes, get it nice and warm, and then it should come out pretty easily. I made sure to put PB blaster in the grooves in there. There's like 2 slits on the sides. I put PB blaster in there as well as the front, and then I'm gonna turn it off, put more PB blaster in there. Besides that, I think how I'm gonna do it is just heat that up and then probably cool this down, like splash some water on here or something to cool this only down, and then the tube should stay hot, and that way I can turn it more easy. Besides that, yep. And then I also did I punched. I don't have like a scribe or anything, so I grabbed a punch and I punched right in that edge of where those few threads are. That way on this I can measure it out and see where I'm gonna screw this back into. This side I lost count. I was unscrewing it and counting it, and then I lost count how many screws I did, so I kind of just went and just guessed how far it goes in. So I'm gonna need an alignment soon as well. I also didn't even check how many. Yeah, so you can see this. Come on, focus. I don't think it's gonna focus, but you can see here this non-threaded part, it's actually a lot wider on this than these are, I think. So it's not too much wider, but it is still wide. So I think I might have went in I think I might have to go in a little further on this side. I'm not sure, but we'll just do an alignment once everything's done. Same with this side. That's why I punched that side, so I can put it side by side and measure where I want this tie rod end. But yeah, I'll have this out and then show you guys. Okay, so it's in. Threading this back in was a lot harder than the other side, even though. So I got this glowing hot, or sort of glowing. It got pretty hot, and then the old one, the old tie rod end. Once this was like glowing hot, I took like a gallon of water and I just splashed it on the end here, this part, and what that does is it expands this from the heat, and then cooling this down is gonna make it smaller, contract it. So that made it a little easier to unscrew, but screwing this back in was like just as hard as taking the old one out. I did put it back in here. What I did was, since this one has more thread than the other one, and it's slightly, I don't remember if it's shorter or longer, I put them side by side, and I had, wherever I had the punch mark on the other one, I just transferred over to this one. I didn't actually punch it, but I just marked which thread it landed on this side. Come on, focus. And what I did was I just counted how many threads it went in up to that point, and then once I started threading it in, I just kept counting how many threads there are left, and that's kind of how I did it. The other side, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to adjust again, but I put the old one next to that one, and the distance looks pretty accurate because the old one has a rust line where the part that was inside the tube has like almost no rust, and the part outside has rust. So I just put it side by side. It was somewhat accurate, so hopefully I got lucky and won't have to do an alignment as soon as I get the truck going, but I will go in for an alignment whenever. Oh, right, so these are the new I don't know what these are called, but they're the new like things to keep this in place. It comes with my tie rod ends. I put this back in, and you want to put this in before you thread it in. I keep forgetting that. So what I did was I just split it up, and I just kind of like threaded it into the thing like a key ring. And then what that's gonna do is it's gonna go in there. But I think I have to tighten this so that it compresses this tube first, and then I'll install that in there. And then this piece you don't actually have to put in. All you have to do is go on the side here, and I did this on the other side, so the other side is a lot longer. Probably gonna have to take this whole thing out again. That's great. Yeah, so on the other side you're able to just squeeze this through here, but I guess it's not the same on this side. Okay, I figured it out. What you gotta do is push this part in, the long part inwards like that, have the bottom part like that. See if I can do this with one hand. And then just push the bottom part in. You're gonna have to tilt it down a little bit. I just had it in, then I took it back out. There we go. So that's clamped, or not clamped, but it's in most of the way. And let's take a hammer. Just tap it in, because I am not unscrewing this back out. Okay, I'm gonna need both hands. And there we have it. I did get that in with both hands easily. It wasn't a struggle at all. I also got that in. It's tight. It's not coming off. And then got both of them tight. This thing, I'll have to get cotter pins for both sides. The other side also takes one. The other side actually doesn't have a like these crown style nuts on it. Even, I mean, I reused the bolt, but that bolt wasn't like this one at all. So that's a little weird, but it also has a hole for a cotter pin. So I'm gonna go and buy some, put some in here later. But there you have it. This thing's in. It looks pretty straight, so I'll take it. And then for the bushing part, I'm not gonna get to do on this video because I just ordered it. I was able to find the part number and I just barely ordered it just now. And I'm just gonna shove this back in if I can. There we go. Because I still have to mock up the video cut out there. I was gonna say I still have to mock up the drag link, not drag link, the panhard bar. I mean, I'm gonna put the axle back in, raise it up, and see if this part, because I think the frame's like right here, so I want to make sure that it's not going to hit the frame if I bring it up, because I do need to bring the track bar up to the steering arm height. So that's just going to go in like that. Boom. Beautiful. Pretty excited about this, and gotta do a lot of cleaning, but yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.